Good morning, friends. Welcome to the next round of vlogs for March. Originally, they were going to start out as weekly vlogs, but I was really bad about updating the last set. I don't know if this is going to be a weekly or not. It's currently Wednesday the 16th, so we will see how things go. But I do have some things to update you on since I last filmed in the other vlog. So if you missed that, by the way, that's in the corner. Go check that out, please, because that'll talk about the reading that I did in the first half of the month. So first up, finished Heaven Officials Blessing Volume 2. I love them so much. I am such a big fan of this series. I understand why everybody fangirls over this one. This one is so fun. The adventures continue for Xie Lian, and the mystery of Hua Chang grows deeper in this particular installment, and I love it so much. It's fantastic. 10 out of 10 would recommend the series. I buddy read this with Lindsay. It was so good. Had a great time. This one also ties back into Xie Lian's past, like the first installment, and that was really interesting and really fun. And yes, had the best time. Please read it. I can't spoil things. So yes, just read it. Trust me, you won't regret it. And then the other thing that I read was a new manga that intrigued me far too much. And this is Monologue Woven for You. This is story and art by Sue Yasaka. This is a full color Yuri in which these two girls meet up in college, and one is a second year, one is a first year, and in the top photo here, she did theater all through high school and was really drawn to theater, but in her third year, she dropped out and focused on school, and now she's going to be a librarian. The girl on the bottom is striving to be an actor, and so it's bringing up all those feelings about theater to our girl in the top photo. And it's a really interesting dynamic between them because there's also a secret that the Kohei has. And I'm not going to reveal that because I feel like that is something that you should learn just going into it. But either way, like, the art is absolutely adorable, and I love the full color style of it. And the story was just really dynamic, and I really enjoyed my time. So again, another one that I would definitely recommend. This is just volume 1, so it's not a complete story, but I do intend to pick up more as it comes out. So today is still salon day. I still need to do my makeup before I go, and I'm going to take some manga with me today. Well, I guess I should talk about my current audiobook because I don't think I ever mentioned it in the previous vlog. So I'm currently reading All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. I've kind of been comfort audio reading since finishing House of Sky and Breath. That kind of shook up my plans a little bit. I will be starting Violetta soon. I have not forgotten that that is the book y'all chose for me. So I'm bringing some favorites that I'm shocked that I haven't read yet. So top of the list and the biggest embarrassment of all is Yona Volume 34. I have not read this yet. What is wrong with me? Clearly my moods have been off if I did not immediately dive into Yona. So I am very excited to be getting to this. This just feels right. I'm ready. My body is ready. Then I've got Lovesick Ellie Volume 2. I've been hanging on to this since just as it came out, and I just keep forgetting to pick it up. So it's going with me today to work. I also have a White Rose in Bloom Volume 2, which again is another one that I am ultra excited to read. I've been waiting for Volume 2 for what feels like forever, and I loved Volume 1 so much that I'm really excited to see where this volume goes. And then last but not least is Rose and Blood Volume 2, another one I've been highly anticipating and I've had for weeks and haven't touched. So these are the 4 that I'm going to take with me to work. I don't know what their priority at work is going to be. I'm going to do it kind of by feel, but I think Yona's going to be top priority, and then the other 3 are kind of all on the same level for me. But yes, I will have some breaks while colors process and things, so I'm hoping to get 1 or 2 of these in while I'm at work. And obviously, as I commute and run errands, I will be listening to All Roads Lead Here. After I finish All Roads Lead Here, I'm going to dive into Violetta as audio because I've heard the audio experience is fantastic. So that's the route I'm going to take on that one. I might do a blended read. I haven't fully decided yet. I also have the Family Chao that got an adaptation announcement. So that makes me all the more excited to read it and see. I mean, this is not even it's barely a 300-page book. Definitely plan on getting to this before the end of the month. Outside of that, I don't really have any big plans for books. I might pull out that spinner wheel that I talked about in the first vlog that I did never get around to help pick some of these. So anyways, I love y'all. I will see you in the next clip. Hi friends, good morning. It is Friday morning. It's been a couple of days since I've checked in on this vlog, and I've read a decent amount actually. I'm quite proud of myself. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna dive into that real fast. So real quick, first things first, I did finish All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. It was brilliant, 5 out of 5 stars. I love it oh so very much. And you cannot convince me otherwise. This book was a masterpiece. Mariana Zapata proves herself to be the queen of slow burn. Essentially, we're following this woman named Aurora who was in a 14-year relationship with a toxic a-hole, and she's left the relationship now. Her mother had gone missing on a hike many, many years ago. And so she decides to go back to her hometown, touch base with her roots, hike a bit, feel close to her mom. And she ends up renting this garage apartment from someone. And this someone is actually the teenage son of the local game warden. And the local game warden had no idea. And so that's kind of the way that our couple meets, and things seem really tense in the beginning, but from there things move forward and evolve, and their relationship is absolutely adorable, and I love them very much. So yes, 10 out of 10 would recommend. Plan on getting a physical copy of this one because I have a feeling I want to reread and annotate certain parts of it because they spoke to my soul. Another brilliant 5-star, and that is Violetta by Isabel Allende. This is basically a love letter to her mother. The more research that I did on this particular book, but essentially we're starting in the 1920s when Violetta's born and kind of following her through her life and through the Spanish flu epidemic and pandemic, and then into the Great Depression. This is tough and hard-hitting at times, but it is brilliant. It is captivating. The writing is stunning. I had a hard time stopping listening to this one. The audio narration was good for me. Might not be for everybody, might be a little dry, but for me, it really worked. I did do this as a blended read as well. I was physically reading it and listening to it, and I enjoyed both ways. So whichever way you choose to consume it, I think will be okay. But 10 out of 10. Like, so good. I loved it. I'm so glad that I'm branching out a little bit and reading some things that I wouldn't have picked up in previous years, because I've really enjoyed all those things. Now, I do have a pile of manga to talk to you about. As you saw from the B-roll before this clip, I decided to pull out that spinner wheel with the recommendations from members, and that led to a bunch of the manga picks. So let's just talk about the manga that I've completed. So Wednesday when I was at work, I did read Yona 34, which was brilliant. We saw my queen Yona coming through. We love to see it. And basically, we're getting a lot of backstory and history into what's going on and why. And it's amazing. I love it so much. And I cannot wait to discuss this with people who've already gotten to this point, because I feel like there's so much to talk about now. So yes, love this series. Cannot wait for what's going to go on from here, because the whole dynamic of the story, I think, is going to change now. All right, next up, Rose and Blood Volume 2. This is my Gothic Vampire series. And I feel like this gave us a glimpse at the dynamic between the vampires in the house a little bit better than we've gotten up to this point. And I'm a fan. I love it. So good. Would recommend. I continue to enjoy this series and hope that you guys will pick it up. The art is stunning. I love it. And yes, Gothic vampires. Like, it's hard to say no to Gothic vampires for me. Next is A White Rose in Bloom Volume 2. Now, this one is a sapphic story between these two students. She's her senpai. So Steph and Ruby. And in the first volume, they get to know each other really well. And Ruby has feelings for Steph, but doesn't know how to express them. And Steph is kind of oblivious to human interaction in general, but she's noticing more and more that she's drawn to Ruby. And this volume just kind of confirmed that. And it was so well done, so good. I really enjoy it. Really like the series and would recommend. Next is one that one of my coworkers actually recommended to me, and that is Catch These Hands. So essentially, this is another sapphic story in which we have these two women who were rivals in high school, or supposed rivals in high school. They went to opposite schools, and one girl was shown a kindness by kind of our rougher looking gal. And so she ends up kind of beating people up and making their way through the ranks so that she wouldn't be forgettable to this particular person. And they meet up again as adults and things move forward from there. It's super cute. I really enjoyed it. Would 10 out of 10 recommend it. I'm really excited to see where this one goes. I love adult women in love. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I love to read. So next is Vampire Dormitory Volume 3. Technically, this one's a reread for me. I had read it digitally, but it was really nice to revisit it and see what's going on. I think it was after this one that I stopped reading them digitally, because I found out that it was physically going to be coming out. But yes, I really enjoy this because we have kind of a gender bent thing with our female character, Mito, here. The vampire mistakes her for a male, and it gets really interesting. And a lot more people continue to make the same mistake. But someone finds out that Mito is actually female in this particular one. So there we go. All right. So that is everything that I've read since my last clip. So let's talk about the things that I'm currently reading. So on the spinner wheel last night, one of the prompts was to pick up something that you've been putting off. And that is It Happened One Summer. I got it started early in February, so I may reread this portion. I haven't decided yet. And I just want to get through and finish this one so that I can move on to Hook, Line, and Sinker, which is the next book in this series for Tessa Bailey. And I usually like Tessa Bailey when I'm in it, but I was kind of in a slumpy, weird February. So I've decided I want to revisit this one. And then my buddy read with Lindsay is Down Comes the Night by Allison Saft. I have not read the pages from yesterday yet. So I need to read yesterday's and today's before I go to work. So I will at least read the first 100-ish pages before I go to work today. And this one's almost a 400-page book, so it'll take us maybe a week. Again, I'm really excited. She sent me this for Christmas, so it'll be interesting to see. The tagline up top reads, "Love makes monsters of us all." So it sounds like it's going to be fun. I don't know what manga I'm planning on picking up next. I would love to get current on Accomplishments of the Duke's Daughter. I think I've got 3 volumes of that one. So I'm doing a closing shift tonight and then an opening shift tomorrow. So I'm doing a clopin, as I like to call it. And then I need to do some family stuff tomorrow night. So I don't know if I'll update this vlog again before Sunday. We'll see how things go. And yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at. Thought I'd check in, let you know what was up. Hopefully I'll have lots to talk to you about in the next clip too. Hello. So it is now Wednesday. I can't remember if it's the 22nd or the 23rd. I have a massive migraine. So I am listening to audiobooks today. I am almost finished with The Inadequate Heir by Danielle Jensen. This is the 3rd book in the Bridge Kingdom series, and I'm really enjoying it. Karis is a really dynamic and interesting character. I really enjoy his story. And his love interest, Zara, is also equally interesting. And their enemies to lovers is a thing of beauty. And it's just continuing to develop in a really amazing way. I'm really loving it. And I think I've only read one other thing, like to completion at least, since I last checked in on this vlog, and that is Dekoboko Bittersweet Days. I read that yesterday when I met up with Maeve to just kind of catch up, and I ended up reading that volume, and now she's borrowing it, so that's why you're just seeing the image here. But it was perfect. It was the perfect conclusion to their little love story, and I love it so much. I mean, technically you don't have to have read the first one, because they brief you on everything you need to know, but I think you get the most from the series if you read both. But yes, love it. It was the perfect conclusion. It made my heart happy. I teared up and everything. It was so good. So yes, I have the migraine to end all migraines, and I can't make this room any darker, which sucks. So usually I'm sitting here with my eyes closed, listening to my audiobook, and I'm just trying to survive today. I have been reading some of Down Comes the Night. That's my current buddy read with Lindsay Tutt. I go back and forth. Like, there are parts of it I really enjoy, and other parts where I'm super frustrated. So once I finish it, I will give you my full thoughts. Hello, I'm back. So I finished The Inadequate Heir. It was fantastic. Really, really loved it. Really excited for the next installment in the story. And Karis and Zara, they are caught up in a web that really sucks, and Zara's auntie is the worst. I hate her. I hate her so much. But anyway, I am really excited to move on to another book. I haven't decided what that's going to be yet. But yes, totally giving The Inadequate Heir 5 stars. Loved it. Hi, friends. Welcome back to this vlog. It's been a few days since we last chatted. My headache is still kind of there, but it's not affecting my vision anymore. Thank heavens. But I'm trying to be extra careful. It could spike at any time, so I've been trying to baby it as much as I can, but I am still trying to function and go to work. Yesterday, it started to spike as I got home from work, and it was a shorter work day, so we'll kind of see how today goes. If I start to feel it spike, I'll probably head home early. But with that said, I have been making steady progress on the Family Chao. It's definitely a family drama. Essentially, there are 3 boys, and this is a very tumultuous family home. Both the parents are Chinese. The 3 boys all have kind of taken different lots in life. The youngest is only like 18 or 19, so he's still trying to figure crap out. And then the 2 brothers are significantly older. The oldest is like 33, and then Ming, the second brother, is somewhere in the middle. I want to say he's 26 or 27, maybe a little older. Basically, the oldest has kind of given up, has decided to stay in small town Haven, I believe it's called, in Wisconsin, to run the family restaurant, because they just had a family Chinese restaurant. They made everything from scratch, and yeah, anyway. The second brother has gone law and is very successful, making and putting away a lot of money for himself, and then the youngest is in college. Essentially, the 2 brothers are recruited to come home as the oldest brother confronts his dad for half the business. The oldest brother has been engaged to this gal for a long time, but he's essentially called it off because he's in love with somebody else and has been cheating on this girl he's engaged to. She also lives in Chicago, where the middle brother is, and she's very successful in her own right as well, and their family loves her, but at the same time, all of the boys see that she's just embarrassing herself at this point. And there's this jade ring at the center of all of it, that the oldest brother now wants to sell off, but it's the ring he gave this gal he was engaged to, because he can't afford the down payment on this new apartment he wants to move into with his girlfriend. And it's really just, it's messy, but like, it's the fun kind of messy. Every so often a good, like, messy book is great. But this isn't like The Nest, where all the kids are just spoiled rotten and they just need to have a conversation and fix their problem and, like, sort it out. This isn't that kind of thing. It's much more layered, which I'm enjoying. And I also like seeing that one brother is the spoiled kid. You know, the oldest is spoiled, has been babied by their parents for a long time. Now that dad's trying to cut off the babying because he's not doing what he wants, he's now the disappointment child. And basically the dad is given an ultimatum. You want half the business? You know, if you pursue this, you don't have a job anymore, essentially. And so there's that. And then we have the younger brother trying to figure it out. The middle brother, who's just fending for himself because he's seen the dynamic of his family, and so he's like, I can't rely on anybody but myself, and is, you know, kind of selfish and spoiled in his own way. And then the baby, who's just like, I don't know what's going on, my family's falling apart and I don't know what to do. So it's really just interesting to me. I don't know why this is different, because like I read The Nest by, I think Cynthia Dupree Sweeney was her name, and I hated that. Like, they were all just too spoiled and too entitled for their own good. In this instance, it seems only one child is that way, where all the others are like, dude, figure out your life and stop cheating on this nice girl, you know? So I honestly think the middle brother has a thing for the fiance at this point, but I can't say anything at this point in that regard. So there's that. And yeah, so the parents are also now divorced because the dad is abusive in many ways. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on there. And I'm just really enjoying it. Like, it's a very layered dynamic. I can understand why they're making a show of this one now. I think it will make very entertaining TV for a lot of people. But I'm really enjoying the book. I am primarily listening to it on audio because reading is still, like, reading physically is still difficult at times. So yeah, it's been good and I'm enjoying it. So I'm going to continue to enjoy it. Hey friends, time for a vlog update. So it is now Monday, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Monday the 28th. I finished 3 books this weekend, which makes me super happy. So let's talk about them. First, let's talk about Down Comes the Night. This was my buddy read with Lindsay over at Lindsay Tut, and we both really didn't enjoy this one. This was a debut YA fantasy. It was being advertised as a like gothic mystery, just that gothic feeling kind of novel. And though the atmosphere was well written, the story itself was not really a gothic story. And ultimately this book just ended up being frustrating for me. I think my teenage self would have enjoyed this a lot more than my adult self. So my adult self gives it like a 2, but who I was as a teenager probably would have given this book a 4. So I landed on a 3 for my rating, because I know that I am not the target audience here. And so I'm not afraid to look at what my teenage self would have enjoyed about the book more than my adult self and base my rating somewhere in the middle. And always when I write a review for a YA, I always am very clear that it's like, I know I am not the intended audience here. But, you know, I try to give you my thoughts as my teenage self would have felt about it and about how my adult self feels about it. And I feel like this one just ultimately was not that great for me. But again, I think my teenage self would have enjoyed it a lot more and probably would have given it a 4. So that was it with Down Comes the Night. That one was a bit disappointing, and I'm really sad because that was a gift from Lindsay. I was hoping we would both really love it. And because it was lining up to be something we both loved, but it just didn't pan out that way, and so we were both a little disappointed. After that, I ended up finishing the Family Chao, and this was definitely like messy family drama done right, I think is the easiest way for me to kind of describe this. So essentially, I think the last time I left off was almost the halfway point when I was talking about it. Basically, the abusive, crabby dad dies under suspicious circumstances, and then there's a trial. You get the whole mess along the way and how each of the brothers is reacting to what's going on. The reveal at the end wasn't necessarily like surprising, but I also didn't really see it coming. I suspected a little bit, but not fully. And it ended up being really enjoyable. I'm giving it 4 stars. This is going to make a great show, because I heard it's been optioned for a show or a movie. Like, it's going to make great, like, media. Like, watching the family drama go down is going to be amazing. And I'm totally going to watch it, whatever it is, movie or show, whatever it is. Because the characters were dynamic and layered in a way that was relatable and understandable for their situation. And it was just fantastic. Really, really enjoyed it. But, you know, some of the stuff was a little far-fetched, so I didn't give it a 5. Then I did finish, finally, It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I don't know why, like, I just kept not picking this book back up after I'd read it, because I was enjoying it when I was first reading it. But I decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm finishing it today. I've got time. That was yesterday, by the way. And I loved it. 5 stars. It was Tessa Bailey at her finest. I love a good, smutty Tessa Bailey book. And It Happened One Summer is definitely that. Everybody says this is, like, akin to Schitt's Creek. And I have to be honest, I've never watched Schitt's Creek, so I don't have that as a comparison. But I absolutely adored the dynamic. We have the rich heiress who, you know, feels like she is stuck in a stereotype. And after she's left LA, basically she throws this big illegal party, and her stepdad sends her to this small town, this small port town, where her biological father was born and raised and lived, and he had died at sea because he was on a fishing boat and he died at sea. And after that, their mom just kind of like took off to LA, grieving in her own way. And so these girls never got a chance to properly grieve their father. And so the stepdad sends them back there. And along the way, she meets the hunky fisherman, and we love the hunky fisherman. He's a widower and has had a hard time moving forward due to his father-in-law wanting to live in the past and keep his daughter alive in that way. So like every year they have a memorial and he's drug out to that. He's not taken off his wedding band in 7 years after she's passed away, and has not dated. And then Piper comes to town, and that all changes because all of his routines go out the window because the party girl makes him break routines. They're actually a really good balance for each other. Their communication, for the most part, is pretty dang healthy. Early on, because things move fast, they both like withhold tiny bits of information, but for the most part, they are just candidly themselves together, other than their own vulnerabilities that they're holding back. And I think that's normal at the stage of the relationship that they were in. So I don't think this was a bad way of doing miscommunication. And it's all centered around other things as well. And, she's worried about his safety on the boat, all that kind of stuff too. So overall, it was a very dynamic yet really filthy smutty book. That is one thing Tessa Bailey does so well, is just dirty, filthy smut. So if you are sensitive on the smut scale, Tessa Bailey's just not going to be for you, and that's okay. No judgment here. Everybody has different smut thresholds, I believe. And I just really like it, because it's like, especially for our hero, I believe his name is Brendan, if I remember correctly. He has so much control in his life. Like, sexually, it was like unleashing this beast, and he just kind of like lived in the moment and lived presently there. And they both did that, and their previous sexual relationships, they weren't. And so it was just very like great to see them both being present and in the moment and living in the moment in a way that was really beautiful. But at the same time, like, dirty and filthy. Like, it's so hard to talk about Tessa Bailey books sometimes, especially because I live in conservative Utah and I was raised very conservatively, and so publicly talking about this side of myself where I enjoy these things is a little interesting for me sometimes. And talking about Tessa Bailey is one of those moments where that like feels more than other times. Just because Tessa Bailey is dirty, filthy smut. But I love it. So, what I'm reading next. I've just picked out my new audiobook. It's going to be Tarnished Empire by Danielle Jensen. After loving The Inadequate Heir so much, I'm just craving another audio from her. So that's the next one I'm going to do. And then I think I'm going to jump back into Wheel of Time. I've taken a nice long break to where I'll enjoy my next installment. When it's high fantasy, if I go back to back to back too much, it all blurs together and I don't enjoy it as much. So that's why I take breaks and listen to romances and things like that. So yeah, that's going to be my next audio situation. My next physical book is going to be Psalm of the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. I've not read a Becky Chambers yet. I know. Shame on me. But yes, Becky Chambers is going to be the next one. And then I was going to start it last night, but I'm like, I'm too tired. This is going to require a little more brain power than I have right now. So I went ahead and set that to the side and just watched YouTube videos till I fell asleep. And then ebook wise, I have the next installment of Ice Planet Barbarians queued up and ready to go. I believe it's Barbarian's Lady. It's like book 13 or 14. I'm deep into the Ice Planet Barbarian series. So, hello friends. We are back in the car and it's the next morning. So I'm on my way to work again. But I wanted to chat with you guys about what I've been reading. So I did not get Run on Your New Legs read yesterday because I kind of went down a nice Planet Barbarians rabbit hole yesterday. This happens on occasion where I start one and I kind of just feel the urge to read a few more. And so that kind of happened. So I did finish Barbarian's Lady. In Barbarian's Lady, essentially our male character, names are going to leave me because I'm still waking up this morning, so just be aware of that. But he is kind of a jokester and loves to joke around and play around. And he legitimately thought that she was stunning and loved that she was this big, tall, beautiful woman. And he had no idea that he had offended her and that she was insecure about that. And over the course of the story, he's just kind of clung on like a barnacle for a long time because he knows she's for him. And what happens is he convinces her, not kidnaps her like a lot of the other books, which is great. He convinces her to take this shortcut across the glacier with him. And of course, she's too busy checking out his butt at one point, accidentally runs into him, and he falls into this crevice in the ice and gets hurt. And so they start to bond at that point, and he feels like he's not properly wooing her because this trip was not going how he thought it would. He thought it would go like the other hunters where they thought they would hide out in a cave till they have sex and then then move forward, you know? But because he's injured, that's not happening. But that gives our female lead time to process and talk to him and get to know him and realize that he's just needling her because he wants her to smile. He's joking with her, and she was taking it all too personally, and she wasn't like bantering back with him. And once she realized that that's what he's doing and that he is genuinely interested in her, she loosens up and starts to banter back. And so theirs is more of a slow burn for a nice Planet Barbarians, which is great. I loved it that way. You know, she had to get over some insecurities, and they take the time to do it. They have lots of bonding moments throughout the course of it. I love that trope where one of the characters has to nurse the other character back to health. Like, I love that crap. Why? I don't know. But it forces a level of proximity that I like, I think is what it comes down to. And from there, true, like, relationship style bonding can happen. And it's not just insta-lust. I think that's why I love that trope. Because while they're laid up, they can't really be boning. So it forces communication, and I really like that. It works well for me, we'll put it that way. And then I did move on to the next book, which is Barbarian's Rescue. I remember her name. Her name's Brooke. Oh, the one from the last book was Kate, because he called her My Pretty Kate. I remember that. Which, oh my gosh, I loved when he was calling her My Pretty Kate, because she'd never been called pretty before, and he had no idea. He just called her what he felt. And she thought he was joking initially, but when she realizes he's genuine, it like melts her, and it's, so good. So good. So yeah, let's see. What was I saying? Okay, Barbarian's Rescue. So it's Brooke, and he doesn't talk. And Brooke, when she's nervous, like, is a blabbermouth, and just has this stream of consciousness that comes out her mouth. And she just has to talk everything out. And it's adorable. And I love it. She's amazing. And she's very nerdy, very bookish. Like, there are references to chess throughout this book. And it's amazing. I love how that played out. Essentially what happens is her and this guy had gone off to this cave. The fruit cave, if you're familiar with the series, to gather fruits, obviously. And then all of a sudden, the ship that had dropped off this next batch of humans, you can say, comes back, and they're like the silent stone of a man finally says, I don't think they're supposed to be here. And so, of course, she starts to panic and freak out and just ramble and babble, and that's just what she does, and it's great, and I love it. But essentially, like, the other group gets kidnapped by these slaver aliens that were not the ones that had originally dropped them off, but they are, we've heard of this race of slavers before, if I remember correctly. And they were all about all sorts of things, maximizing their money and whatnot. But anyhow, I am really glad that I read that one, and I love how he's just this quiet man, and she just does enough talking for everyone. Initially, she thinks that he doesn't like her because he's not talking, but he explains, I just like listening to you talk. I love hearing how you think. And she's like, oh, because most guys, like, would you ever shut up? You know, human males can be a-holes. Let's be real. Like, they can be. And a lot of them are. I got lucky. But it's one of those things where, you know, he starts to talk to her because they now have to rescue everybody else. And so she immediately brings up chess and strategizing, and it's brilliant. I love it so much. I'm not going to spoil too much other than they do rescue their group, and it's amazing. From there, the whole course of the series is evolving again. So it's going to be really, really, really interesting to see how the next book plays out. Because I did start that one. No, the last girl wasn't Brooke. The girl in the book I'm currently reading is Brooke. Because she's got a stutter, and so when they were first introducing themselves to the tribe, she stuttered, and so it was Brooke. And so a lot of people, unironically, do call her Brooke. And they're not intentionally teasing her, but it makes her self-conscious. And essentially, something happens while they're on the slaver ship. I'm not going to reveal what that is. That makes things unpleasant for them past that. Because they both went in with two different lines of thought. But yes, thoroughly enjoyed myself with those. I've been having a great time. I'm trying to remember my current one. So I finished Barbarian's Lady and Barbarian's Rescue. I don't remember my current Barbarian read. Obviously, I've put it here by now. Good morning, friends. I know the sun's like cutting off half my face, but you get to see my purple hair a little bit brighter. I'm really excited with how it turned out. This was kind of a test run for my trip. I'm going to do one more application right before I go, so it's nice and vibrant the whole time I'm there. But yes, so anyways, I am here to close out this reading vlog. So, I didn't get any manga read the last couple of days. I kind of banked all of that for April because it's 30 and 30. I think I'm going to shoot for 60 and 30. That's like my current thought process on it right now. So we'll see if I actually do that or not. Secondly, I did finish The Tarnished Empire. I'm going to give it 3 stars. I just think that Danielle Jensen, it's only her Bridge Kingdom series that I like. Because I tried one of her YA series a long time ago and it did not jive with me at all. I actually didn't even finish it. But The Tarnished Empire felt more like the YA read. Maybe it is YA, I don't know. But I did not end up enjoying that one. So I was really kind of sad about it. Because I had loved The Inadequate Heir so much and I was hopeful. It was kind of, you know, looked similar. The description sounded similar. We had 3 POVs, and I don't think that did this book necessarily any favors. I understand the reason why she chose to do 3 POVs, and it did make sense, but I think you easily could have condensed it and had it in a way where you only had 2 POVs, and it still would have worked. And it was trying to juggle too much, I think. And I think that's why it just kind of felt clunky. And so I ended up at a 3. And that is the only thing I've finished since then. I would have finished Barbarian's Tease, but another book dropped in the Prime Mating Agency series, which is I Married a Minotaur. And this is actually revisiting the same planet that I Am a Birdman takes place on. And so I've really been enjoying it so far. I'm like 60 or 70% of the way through at this point. So I intend to finish it today. But yeah, like I love it so very much. Clearly I need to still put on eyeliner and mascara today because I'm feeling dead looking. But I Married a Minotaur is amazing. So in I Married a Birdman, there was a primitive group of people on the planet called the Urus. And so it's actually the chief of the Urus that is the male lead. And he's actually albino, which is really cool to see because he does have to compensate for things to just be a good chief. And it's amazing the attention to detail that Regine Abel has done with that, and just the whole way the Urus are, because genetically, like, they have some things going on within their hormones that force them to be kind of this violent race, because their males basically end up with, like, it's kind of like a drug addiction, but it's through their hormones, and it helps them build up their bodies physically, because they get stronger each time they fight. And so it gives them this rush. It strengthens their bones, but over time it puts them in a blood haze where they can't even like think straight. But there is a remedy for that, and the people don't want it. So it's really interesting. I haven't said anything about our female lead. I should talk about her as well, because she is also layered and very interesting and a really good match for our little Uru chief. So she was a convicted convict. She was not actually guilty of the crime. She was the person who was essentially the fall guy for this other person who was smuggling illegal goods, and she ended up being the person that took the fall for their behavior because they took off and she was left with their mess. So she's offered the opportunity to marry the Uru chief in exchange for her 20-year sentence. So it's really exciting. It's one of those where I feel like the stakes actually felt pretty high for her to say yes to this arrangement. But it's funny because as soon as she gets there, like, she's immediately drawn to him because she's drawn to his, like, pure feral masculinity in a way. And she keeps calling him fluffy, but he feels like insulted by it. And so that's kind of a fun way. And they're definitely a couple that like intentionally needle each other, but they both enjoy it. Like, none of it's done in a way that either person's uncomfortable. Like, you can tell they're just playing with each other. And so it's really fun because that dynamic I don't see in books very often, where a more like needling kind of play is done by both partners willingly from the get-go. And it's amazing. Like, he tends to do things like try to carry her around. She's like, I can walk myself. And they're just really, really cute. And so it's just such an interesting dynamic within the tribe as well as within their relationship. Like, it's just so good. And seriously, Regine Abel is a genius with this Prime Mating Agency series, because even in like allowing this to happen through the Prime Mating Agency, there's an ulterior motive that we learned about in I Married a Birdman. So I do feel like you have to read I Married a Birdman before you can read I Married a Minotaur, because they do overlap and connect together in a way that I truly, honestly think is genius. Like, the way she's weaving these two together is amazing, because like we're actually seeing the previous couple quite a bit, A little more than I expected in the beginning, but it's working really well, so I'm not mad about it. And I don't feel like this is just like a cash grab kind of book either, because sometimes you worry when they revisit a world like that in this kind of a series, but it's definitely not. It's amazing. Each of the Prime Mating Agency stories, though essentially they start very similarly, where the woman has to agree to marry this alien for one reason or another. All of the romances have felt unique and different, and it's amazing. Like, each setup has been a little bit different as well, which I appreciate, which leads to Regine Abel being able to play with more dynamics. And I think it's smart. I love this series for that reason, which is why I recommend the whole series. Yes, the first book has a little bit of a white savior thing going on. I have realized that over time, and it could be said that this one kind of has that feel as well, because again, we're dealing with one of the more primitive races, and I think that's just how the primitive ones are going to feel to some people. But honestly, like, I really just, because she's not bringing in new things to them so much as realizing what they have already and finding a way to make it work for them to help them thrive. And so it's been really interesting, rather than in the first one where she, they were slaves and she kind of forces farming back on them. That one felt more white saviory because of that. This one doesn't feel that way, because she's just like, hey, like, she feels more like a con artist, where she's like, hey, you have this and this, why don't we do this? And then there were some extra gifts from our KAOG, our Prime Mating Agency mail, that set everybody up to kind of help connect the two races, hoping for peace on the planet in a way, and so that they get what they want. And so it's just really interesting. Like, I just love it. Like, the political dynamics going on right now are just, I'm thriving. I like political style stories, where a world has very unique and interesting politics. I think because our politics suck so hard is really why I enjoy these different political climates and atmospheres. So yeah, anyway. Whew. Now that I've rambled on plenty, thank you guys so much for watching this vlog. I know it's a bit longer than the last one, but I felt like I had a lot to say about what I've been reading. Let me know in the comments down below just how you're feeling about life in general. And if you're here just because you love me, give me some sort of spring-related emoji. It can be sunshine, it can be flowers, it can be animals, I don't care. Something that reminds you of spring. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Was it all just a dream, just all in my head?